To welcome you to the Controlled Environment Lighting Laboratory. My name is Eric Runkle. I'm a professor in the Department of Horticulture and the one who basically got this lab to be built and be functional. So what the plan is, I'm going to give you just a very brief introduction, and then Yujin Park is a PhD student. She's going to give a short presentation using the screen just to familiarize you with vertical farming if you're not familiar with it already. Our group is small enough this time, I think we can all be as one group. So then we can go into here where Monk Zhang, she's a master's student, she will talk about the lighting system as well as other environmental controls that we're measuring and controlling. And then the third and last stop will be actually inside where you can go in and Ching Wu or William Meng is going to give just a short explanation about the lighting system as well as the hydroponics and how we're producing these crops. So what our focus is primarily with this laboratory, as the name implies, is lighting. And so there have been a lot of advances with LED lighting. It's now more efficient than other lighting fixtures. But what we still don't know very well is how the different parts of the light spectrum influence different growth attributes. So we're looking at how the different colors of light influence not only our perception of the plants, but the pigmentation, meaning the coloration of the plant, how big the leaf gets. So light can influence the leaf size. It can influence the thickness of leaves, as well as the color. And so with that, thanks for your interest in coming, and I'll turn it over to Yujin.
Thanks, Eric.
Thank you.
Hello, everyone. My name is Yujin. So before we have a tour to the cell, I will briefly talk about vertical farming. So this photo shows the commercial vertical farms in US and Japan. And you can see the microgreens and leaf lettuce are grown under the multiple layers of system with lighting. So vertical farming is growing crops in multi-layer system indoors, such as controlled environment building or some warehouses also and shipping containers. And in the past couple of years, not only in US, but in the worldwide, including US and in some European countries, such as UK and Netherlands, and also in many Asian countries, such as China, Korea, and Japan, there has been an increasing interest in using vertical farm for produce high-quality crops. And actually, according to the data published in 2013, there are 200 commercial vertical farms in Japan. Theoretically, we can grow all sorts of crops in vertical farm, but mostly the grown crops for vertical farming include high-value specialty crops such as leafy greens, as you can see here, red leaf lettuce or some kale, and like herbs like basil or mint, and some small fruits like strawberries. And they are all very high-value crops, and they can grow very fast in a short amount of time, and also they can grow very well in indoor environment. So when compared to growing them in the greenhouse, when we grow those crops in vertical farm, what would be the difference in terms of the growing method or growing environment?
No windows?
Which would be more efficient? What do you expect? Which one would be the most efficient? Yeah, vertical farming. Yeah, and also what other factors would be different? Light.
Humidity?
Yes. Okay, so you can see this figure. It is simplified version of greenhouse and vertical farm. So greenhouse is covered with glazing materials like glass or transparent plastic panel. So the growing environment in the greenhouse is affected by outdoor sunlight or temperature. So to maintain the growing environment such as light and temperature consistently is very challenging. But in contrast, vertical farm is covered with insulated wall like this building, so it is not affected by outdoor light level and temperature. So we can keep the growing environment like light and CO2 concentration at the atmosphere and temperature very consistently, and we can precisely control the growing environment by using air conditioner and LED lighting and other controlled environment systems. And most advanced technology we are using for vertical farms include LED lighting and hydroponics. And actually, these two technologies are using in lighting cell. So you can actually see the LED lighting system and hydroponics when you have the tour. So LED lighting has a variety of different colors. So they emit a variety of different colors, including blue, green, red, and there's also some UV light and infrared light. Humans I cannot see, but plants can perceive. Also, and since plant traits like plant morphology, so leaf area and leaf size, and plant pigmentation and flowering time can all affected by the light color, we can manipulate the plant traits by using different color of light. So here you can see red leaf lettuce. So they are same plants, so same species and same cultivar, but they just grown different color of lights. So these plants grown with more high blue light. So they produce more red pigmentation, which is called anthocyanin. So they had more red leaves. So by controlling the light spectrum, you can manipulate the color of leaves and the nutritional value and taste of lettuce and texture. And also for flower crops, we can control the flowering time too. Also, LED light compared to other conventional light, including the high pressure sodium lamp we use for supplemental lighting in greenhouse, and also fluorescent lamp, LED emit very little heat toward the plants, so they can be placed closer to the plants. So when we see the initial version of the vertical farm, they are using high pressure sodium lamp, and they emit a lot of heat toward the plants, so they cannot place close to the plants. Then they will get heat stress. And in 2000 year, when we started to use LED lighting, we can place plants closer to the light, and after that we can use the multi-layer system. So by using LED lighting, these days vertical farm use multi-layer system. Yes.
In terms of percentage, how much space did you save when you use LED lighting? How much closer?
Closer?
In terms of an entire unit.
Depending on the growers, and also in Japan, several system is close about 50 centimeters, 4 inch, but LED still emits a little bit of heat in the backward, so they need to remove the heat. And also the plants grow taller. Some plants grow taller, so we need some space. So that's why people are growing lettuce and strawberry, very small compact crops to make more multiple layers. But so even though if we use multiple layer, we can produce more crops per space, but we need more lighting fixtures and more facilities. So it depending on the economics and the grower's purpose.
So if land is cheap, it doesn't save you a lot of money. But if you're in Hong Kong trying to grow plants where land is super expensive, you want to do this.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. Do you have any additional comments?
No. Just need to go and start the next one.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So in addition to LED lighting, we also use hydroponics. So instead of growing plants in soils, we are using nutrient solutions. So we provide water, nutrients, and also oxygen by using this hydroponic system. So by using vertical farms can grow high costs. So by growing crops indoors with LED system and hydroponic system, we can grow high quality crops year round. And also by using hydroponic system, we can save water and nutrient and pesticide use. Also, since vertical farm can be built anywhere, so we can grow crops more locally, so we can reduce the food mileage, and also we can increase the shelf life. But vertical farm is also expensive system, so currently we are growing mostly high value crops.
So how large is your lab? I mean, in square feet?
This lab.
It's what you see is right behind you.
Okay.
I don't recall the dimensions offhand.
Yeah, is it under 1,000 square feet?
Oh, definitely.
Okay,
Yeah, so it's a research scale. It wouldn't be a commercial scale,
right.
but it's big enough that we can deliver up to 24 different lighting treatments at one time.
Oh, that's nice.
So it's powerful, but it's not coming close to commercial scale.
Okay.
Okay, so our group's gotten a little bit bigger, and because it's fairly small in here, let's divide it into two. Okay, so maybe here, are you guys together? You're separate. Okay, so we have two different stations. One is focused on the lighting, the other one will go inside. So the one thing I request though is that this is a fairly expensive facility. These lighting systems are very expensive. So please do not touch the lights. And also please be careful about touching the plants because we have an experiment in progress. So there will be an opportunity for you to do a tasting of lettuce if you want. It's fine to touch those, but please refrain from touching any other things. Any quick questions before we start? Okay, so if you guys could go in maybe to where William is. Okay.
Hi, follow me to the room inside.
Okay. Hi.
Feel free to take pictures, and if you use social media, share them on Facebook, Twitter, hashtag MSU South.
Okay.
Yeah. Hey, welcome. My name is William. I'm a PhD student here working on hydroponics and LEDs. So I want to briefly introduce to you how the system works here. So we grow everything hydroponically. We have green leaf lettuce, Chinese cabbage, and tomatoes. And in the back over there, we have red leaf lettuce. So all those plants are the same lettuce cultivar, red leaf lettuce, but they look different under different light conditions, right? So now come back to here, you see that this is our water reservoir. We have a water pump there, pushing water through the hoses into the outlets, into one of the trays vertically stacked here, and the water will flow through the tray and it will flow back through the hoses back to the reservoir. So the nutrient water constantly recirculates within the system, and that's how we support the plant growth using the nutrients. So I can take the plant out so you can see the root structure. This is a green leaf lettuce, and you can see the roots growing very long. It's pretty white, right? And this is a growing cube that we use. It's called rock wool. It's a refined fiber material. I can pass them around so you can touch and feel it. It's pretty light. It's like a sponge, right? Or the insulation material for your houses. And it holds water and nutrients pretty well. So that's why it's commonly used in hydroponic growing. And once plants get big, the roots will grow out into the nutrient solution. So when you if I come to this side, I'll show you what's underneath.
Down.
Yeah.
You want to poke the roots all the way
Let me
in,
step
so
over
it'll be
here.
okay.
Yeah, this is just my demo plant.
Oh, okay, so I
I'll
wanted to
just
make
put it
sure it
there for
wasn't
now.
one of your research plants.
Yeah. And on this side, I can show you everything underneath. So you can see all the roots in the water, and that's the inlet. That this is the outlet, and the roots are just absorbing all the nutrients that they need. And if you look over there, we also have an air stone over there to oxygenate the water. So there's oxygen that's required for root development, so the roots won't be suffocated. But yeah, so I have some smiley face stickers here. You can take some gloves over there and feel free to taste any lettuce or Chinese cabbage here. And if you like the flavor of it, just put a smiley face on the shelves. And
This is large.
because we use different lights, one of the reasons is to modify the flavor profiles, right? So we can adjust the ratios of bitter compounds versus sweet compounds. So like the lettuce here might taste different from the lettuce over there,
Going to the farm.
just because of the light colors. So if I take the plant here from red light, it looks red to us, but when you take it out to white light, it still looks pretty green, right? And it develops some red pigmentation because it's a red leaf lettuce after all. But this treatment has more blue light, not only just red. So if I take this plant out, it looks different, right?
Has
some
more
people
red
have
leaves.
taken some leaves out. But yeah, this one looks smaller and also like more coloration. This is not very dramatic, but sometimes you can make the whole plant red. And the root structures will be different. This one seems to have more roots. But yeah, so we can modify the shape of the plant, and that will determine the yield or the final weight of the plant, right? Because that's what farmers sell their plants based on. And you have a question?
Yeah,
Yeah.
if you're trying to get more red leaves for
Yes.
more anthocyanins
Mhm.
and different nutrition,
Yes.
is it typical that if it's grown under blue light, that it grows smaller and so
Yes.
it's going to be more expensive because it doesn't weigh as much?
Yeah, that's a really, really good point. So if you take a look at those two middle trays in the back, and look at the tomatoes in the back, right? So those are the same tomatoes from the same starting date. They're of the same age, the same cultivar, but those under greenish white light are much taller, just because it has more green light, and these ones have more blue light. So you're right, blue light suppresses elongation and extension growth, so the plants will be smaller and lighter. And yet, for anthocyanin production, you need that blue light, right? So a lot of people would grow plants under red light for 3 weeks or 4 weeks, and during the last week before they harvest their plants, they will turn on blue light. So that's one of the things we can do with tunable LEDs like this. So we can shift the spectrum in real time. So eventually we will have a nice biomass and the nice color on leaves.
So you use the red light to green it out?
We use red light to make it grow fast and use blue light to make it look red.
So the ones on the right are a little leggy, right? Leggy?
Yes.
So that's not really a good plant to me. I don't know. But the ones on the left would be more appropriate, or?
Yeah, it really depends on what you want, right? So people have different desirable attributes. Sometimes having a bigger plant is nice because it gives you a nicer, it gives you a greater biomass. So this plant has more biomass than this one. It's heavier, so it will be harvestable quicker than these ones. But for some other plants, if it grows pretty tall and leggy, it might fall over pretty easily.
Right.
So it depends on what you grow. For some plants, it is desirable to have a long stem, but for some others, it's not. But for the purpose of accumulating biomass, using carbon dioxide to produce photosynthesize, having a big plant is really nice.
How do the plants use green light?
Yeah, so that's a really good question. A lot of people think that because when you go to a typical indoor vertical farm, you see red and blue light, creating this purple or pink hue. That's because when you look at the chlorophyll absorption spectrum, chlorophylls absorb mainly red and blue light. They don't really absorb much green light at all. So that's why a lot of the leaves look green to us. It's just because it's reflected back to our eyes. But this is one of the experiments I'm doing right now, trying to find whether green light is actually useful for plants. Because even if chlorophylls don't use green light that much, green light can still penetrate deeper into the canopy. So the top leaves will absorb most of the red and blue light, but green light goes deeper into the canopy. So the lower leaves in the lower canopy can use green light actually pretty efficiently. And plants, they're mobile, they're adaptable, right? So when they are in a different condition with more green light, they can adapt to use green light efficiently. So it's not a constant scenario.
So recent study shows the pigment absorption curve is drawn after the extraction pigments from the leaves to the solution. So but if the chlorophyll is inside the leaves, the whole leaf can observe the green light too. So green light can reflect inside the cell, and they can finally absorb the chlorophyll when chlorophyll is inside the leaves.
Wait, 2 minutes. 2 minutes? Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
So these guys will look green if you took them out. In fact, they did. That one looked.
Yeah.
That one green like all.
They all
no,
look
that
green.
one's multicolored.
Yeah.
But these would look green. They wouldn't look pale white.
Yeah, if you take it out, it looks. Yeah, just.
Yeah, they have normal green.
Yeah, it's not like yellowish.
Do you notice anything when you're growing from germination to the between the cotyledons to the true leaves? I mean, do you notice a better growth factor on some colors, or?
From the germination to the cotyledon leaves.
Yeah, the cotyledons, and then you go to the true leaves, right?
Like, do the cotyledons prefer different
Color, I
wavelengths
mean,
than
because the
leaves?
cotyledons typically don't do photosynthesis. Some plants have it, but
Yeah, this is something that we're trying to do in the next phase. So currently we're trying to focus on the exponential growing phase, but I think one of the experiments that we have planned is to look at germination and seedling growth influenced by different light colors.
okay.
Yeah, so feel free. There are some gloves over there, and just pick some leaves and taste it. If you like it, put a smiley face stick on
This
it.
is the lettuce, and this is the Asian green in the back.
Yeah, so that's Chinese cabbage.
Everybody wants some, there's some.
Okay.
Good, I hope it's good. In my garden, I just put Asian greens in the package.
There's a white lady.
Yeah, it's a little seeding.
Great, thank you so much.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Yeah, if you want to stay and hear more about the lights, that's the next stop. Otherwise, you take off whenever you want.
Sometimes they come here once or twice just to check everything. I wonder if they have a